Well, so wrong and yet so right.
The Civil Beat poll correctly predicted that Tulsi Gabbard would win the Democratic nomination for the 2nd Congressional District, but got it wrong in terms of Mazie Hirono's decisive victory over Ed Case.
The Star Advertiser got things just the opposite. So what's going on? Joining us over Skype is CivilBeat.com political reporter Chad Blair. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning, KITV.
So how was the poll different from the Star Advertiser poll?
Well, one of the key differences with our poll versus the Star Advertiser is that we used a system called Interactive Voice Response, or IVR. And what that means is it's a recorded voice that you get on the phone and you answer by pressing the buttons. It's touch-tone polling, basically. The criticism of that is that it's robocalling, but we think it actually helps eliminate the bias in the survey. We think it turns out to be a pretty good system. So that is a very big difference between us and the Star Advertiser.
So what type of voice was in that recorded phone call, and how does a local sounding voice versus a mainland sounding voice affect the way people respond?
Boy, that is exactly what our story is about. The voice that we have used is a woman in Ohio, a mainland woman, a very straight, kind of flat voice, very American, if you will. Not to say local voices aren't American, but the question is, if a local voter gets that voice on the phone, are they likely to want to answer in a way that pleases that person? It's called social desirability bias, that somehow the answers you give to a mainland white Caucasian voice, if you will, would please them rather than reveal your true feelings on the way you want to vote.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and there's a cool little test on Civil Beat, if you can tell, between the local voice and the mainland voice. I actually had some trouble there because they're not too different.
Yeah, you should go on and take this test. It's really good for us because the lesson going forward is we're going to try two voices next time. We're going to use the same woman from Ohio, and we're also going to use a local sounding voice and see if there's different results in what voters are telling us.
All right, that'll be interesting. All right, thanks, Chad. Well, Civil Beat interviewed Lieutenant Governor Brian Schatz about renewable energy products. What did he say about that?
Well, in a nutshell, Japan, as you know, was very shaken up by the earthquake and tsunami back in March of 2011. But the Lieutenant Governor says this is really an opportunity for both that country and our state. We both depend heavily on renewable energy, investing a lot more money in Hawaii on renewable energy projects. There's one already, $37 million on Maui for research into wind and solar. So that could be a win-win for both of us.
And Chad, looking at some news of the day, the City Council is scheduled to meet today to consider overriding the mayor's veto of that ban of commercial operations at Kailua Beach. What does history tell you?
Well, I can tell you that history tells us that veto will be overridden. Peter Carlisle, in his short 2 years as mayor, he's 0 for 3. They've all been overridden. Having said that, there were a couple of people that voted yes with reservations, so they could change their vote and make that veto stand. We'll find out later today.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chad. Lots of interesting stories.
Thank you for reading KITV. Civil Beat.
You can read KITV too. Thanks, Chad.
You can find the complete stories we've just discussed on civilbeat.com. The time now is 6:39. We'll be right back.